Hello everyone. We're going to spend a little bit of time today really looking at our lesson plans. So lesson plans have changed because we are moving more into a hybrid situation, which means every person must be considerate when planning their lesson of how this is going to look on the digital platform of Schoology, as well as the opportunity of what it looks like in the classroom. So I'm going to walk through this plan just a little bit to help guide you through that. Here, of course, is your class and subject weekly lesson plan where you'll put the information. Here you'll put term 1, week 1. As we all know, week 1 is not going to have a formalized lesson plan, so you're practicing for week 1 with us to start fully engaged in week 2. This is where you put prepared by, of course, grade course, the subject start and end date. Vocabulary goes here, so any new vocabulary that is introduced, not necessarily vocabulary for the unit, meaning you might be doing a unit that's over 3 weeks. We only want the new vocabulary that is put in. We want the real world connections and real life connections. And then if you have any noted concerns or adjustments, you're going to plot that information down. Your data connection is here. So if you use your map testing to plan this out, you put that here. If you used CAT 4, if you used your Schoology lesson objectives, if you used your own internal assessments, anything that you use to help data-wise, you plan the lesson goes here. This is our special space of inclusion where you have your activities for your gifted and talented students here, and any special information for your SEND students here. So now we actually go to the in-class instructional plan, and it's not done by days, it's done by periods because everybody's periods look a little different. So you have period 1, period 2, period 3, period 4. We're posting the standards at the very top because our standards drive what our objective is and what we're able to do in the classroom. So our standards actually go up here to which our objective is, which is students will be able to. And this is exactly what the students will be able to do in the 20-minute period of class. So please do not try to make 5 different objectives or make it very long. In fact, if I look at your week, this objective should line immediately into this objective, which goes into this one, then goes to this one, which means that this is really a stepping process or building to what students will be able to do. So we go back to being very realistic. If you look at the beginning of the class to the end of the class, what is it that they'll be able to do in that 20-minute period? Very next is our mindful minute, and this is our quick activity, which I've done a video on, that immediately starts when the teacher comes into the classroom. This should take 1 to 3 minutes maximum. You can turn around and do a Go Noodle activity, a song. You can turn around and go through your chants if you need to go through them. It can be a question of the day. It can be a math minute, but it is a quick activity that students can do self-directed that teachers are not teaching, so it gives you the opportunity set up for the classroom. The lesson cycle, which is your I do, is the actual direction portion of the lesson. It's the introduction of new information, maybe vocabulary acquisition, content, and the practice and the physical guided practice that has to go into this. This is not independent time for students. This is not a time for students to copy. There should be no activities that are purely student driven that are really independent. This is really the only time that we're able to teach with our students one-on-one. So our students who are distance learning are actually watching and learning and seeing action happen, as well as our students in the classroom are in the midst of doing the actual activities. This will be heavily monitored in the classroom, very heavily monitored, because we have to make sure that that 20 minutes is being utilized to its best position. Critical question. I will be doing trainings off of critical questions, which means it's the question that drives the learning, which kind of will go into the objective. But this piece here, at this point in time, you can put something down, what is the critical question that drives the lesson, but this will be a stronger training. Closing activity. How do you close the activity? It has to be under 5 minutes. I'm going to make another video that really explains how we're looking at closure in this updated time. Identify checkpoints in class. How do you know that your children are learning? How are you checking the understanding? This is nothing new. This is something we did last year, and we even have the training of running a roster. Raising hands. We cannot do peer-to-peer feedback or shoulder partner talk, so you have to be cautious about it. You can check, say I'm looking at question number 3. I know 3 out of 5 students have given me the vocabulary back. Whatever you have done to identify the checkpoint to make sure students are learning in class. This is your materials needed for the class. This is something that's very new. In some cases, our materials needed list will have to be emailed home, so the students at home can be already prepared to start class with those materials. For instance, if you're using a ruler in class, we need to have that material sent in this email so we can have teachers and not teachers and parents already ready with that information. If you're doing the painting or art, anything that's materials needed needs to go ahead and be sent home. The other thing is we're no longer to pass out. So in Schoology, you have to send the materials needed information a week prior individually to parents and students so they know on which date to bring which materials, because they have to bring it from home or they might not be able to participate. This is a very important thing, and we must plan that out. Also, next is a location request. Is this going to be in the classroom or is this going to be in the lab? If it's going to be in lab, please put the time in so we can make sure that we have those schedules ready and we have all sanitation done. So this is just the end portion of the class of what will be happening. The second is the digital support instructional plan. If you notice, our class time is about 20 minutes, which means that a lot of the work, which is your independent learning or practice, will be done at home for the opposite 20 minutes. That's how we look at it as a 45-minute lesson plan. So location and title of the activity. What folder is this lesson in, and what is the title of the activity? And then a quick description. What are the students supposed to be doing in this estimated time, and the intended outcome, which should probably be a practice of this outcome. These two should actually be aligned. You should not have students doing anything that's opposite of that, unless the opposite is they're doing exact path because they're getting practice upon their own intervention strategies or anything regarding that. Your assessment model. How are you checking it? Checklist, rubric, standard, graded, no grade, or is it participation? The due date posted in Schoology so we can make sure that we're following along. An estimated time for task completion. Just again, these things should not be more than 20 minutes to be able to do. You must remember that each child has 7 classes, so even 20 minutes from each class is a total of 140 minutes, which is 2.5 hours almost at home. Therefore, once again, your task should be 20 minutes. I will be checking this, and this is an expectation. Also, what standards is required and to be linked in Schoology. These standards should be linked to these standards unless, once again, it is an exact path or an intervention. And then therefore, you'll put here, it's intervention per student / differentiated. That is that information here real quick. Quick note, activity 1 should match period 1, activity 2 should match period 2, so forth. Activities on Schoology should not be more than 20 minutes. Therefore, the entire plan equals to a normal class period of 45 minutes. Activities from the classroom guided practice should be also in Schoology, because we must not have paper. So if you're saying that I'm going to pass out or students are going to write, you're actually saying students are going to type, because that's going to be done. We are working on a one-to-one campus and every student bringing in their laptop or computer. The only grades that have some excuse of this will be our 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, until we can see that those students are steadily bringing in their electronic devices. Please email your materials needed list home to your students Thursday before the week starts. This is also for science and all those things we must be concerned with. All location requests with dates and times must be sent to Maywish by Thursday so we can be able to take care of the sanitation request. Please excuse one activity period for your online learning, which is ICANN Arabic, Exact Path, Khan Academy, etc., and all of those things. So that's just a little bit of that detailed information for your lesson plan of what we're focused on and what we're trying to do. I hope that this helps everyone as we move forward into what our actual classroom structure should look like. Thank you very much.